Welcome back, Rankers. Have you had a good week? Hey, check this out over here. Look at this. Not that. Look at this. Wow. I just did a search for flowers. And look up here. 1-300 flowers, fast flowers, and roses only. Looks like they've all recovered from their Google Penguin smack from about a year ago. No. You'd be wrong if you thought that. These are actually ads right here. And this here are the organic results. Can you see that line there? Look close, there it is. Right, that's splitting up the ads from the organic results. This is a new layout that Google's rolling out. Pretty nice, huh? This is what the layout used to look like. Look, ooh, yuck, ooh, oh, that big yellow banner behind the ads. We can see exactly what they are. This is so much more helpful for the user, I think. And of course, when you make a comment like that, you always need to close it off with the proper tag. There we go. So that's a new layout coming soon to a browser near you. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about content and who SEO is for and what your ultimate goal is. You might think, pretty easy, Jim. Need to get more traffic, need to make more sales, need to make more money. See you later. Don't need to watch this show. However, if you thought that's what all SEO was about, you're probably on the wrong track. You're probably on sort of, well, you know, SEO 5 years ago. What SEO really is about is long-term building your brand, like every sort of digital marketing eventually should be about. It's about creating that brand. In Australia, I guess the first one we've seen in Australia that's done it really well, and send me some comments if I'm missing out on anyone here, but I would say Ruslan Kogan. He's the guy who basically built a brand purely online. And, you know, people, you know, he's got a great emailing data. I guess another one would be Vino Mofo. And there's probably half a dozen more that I've missed out on. But building your brand is so important, but you've got to get people to actually find you first. That's what SEO is about, right? And it's about, you know, getting your message in front of someone who doesn't know who you are, but they're just looking for that thing, right? Ruslan Kogan, you know, obviously did that really well. But because SEO's changed a lot, or the way that Google, or the signals that Google uses to rank sites has changed a lot in the last 12, 18 months. A lot of people are still trying to work out, oh God, how am I going to get backlinks now? Oh, I've got to work out another way to get around Google. And, you know, we're seeing a lot of sites doing it. Like, for instance, just take that one away. This is a phrase you may remember I did a couple of months back. I don't know how long ago it was, actually. It'll tell me when I Google it. SEO consultant was the phrase we're trying to rank for. And we got to number one, July last year. We got to number one, and we've dropped to number 2 this week. And there's another SEO company that's gone above us. But you can see there's no actually information about SEO consultant there. Huh, interesting. But that page there, I didn't do any backlinks to. I didn't go out and create any backlinks, right? It was just about the content. It was just about a series of articles around that topic that people found useful and commented on, and some people linked to. I didn't go out and create backlinks. I want to show you another one. This is a client of ours, and look away because I'm just going to type their brand in here, and I don't want you to see who it is. So I'm excluding their brand from the search queries that we're looking at in Google Webmaster Tools. Okay, this was a brand new site in November last year. End of November last year. So what are we now? End of November last year we started working on it. Brand new site. There are a bunch of things that we had to fix up. The normal SEO things that I talked to you about. Getting rid of errors. Getting rid of duplicate page titles. Getting rid of duplicate content. Making sure that we're signposting the content. Tagging the content. Giving the content authority for specific keywords. Like actually using the keywords in the content. But the content has to be good as well. And then we just started creating content around this site's particular subject matter, which happens to be in the finance arena. So obviously competitive stuff. And over time, we've gone from, well, you can see there, searches per day, search impressions, 5 to 10 to 15, but you would say on average around 10, and now we're up at 360 searches per day. Now, you might say, oh, Jim, but look at that, it says 0 clicks. Yes, that's Webmaster Tools, it lies. It tells us some of the truth, but only an amount that it thinks we can handle. And in this case, it's not telling us the whole truth, because when we go back over into organic search, clicks and actual analytics, we can see here we've got a similar curve, right? We've got a similar growth curve, which is nice and pretty. And you can see here, this is organic search traffic. You can see here, of those 300 or so searches, we're getting a couple of hundred a day, which is a pretty good click-through rate. Now, here's the thing. Finance industry, new site. Excuse me, I'm just plugging in my computer because the laptop's fallen out and we'll lose power halfway through the show. That'd be bad. New site. No backlinks. And pretty much, no content. I had a few pages, had probably 10, 20 pages, something like that. But it had some problems with it as well. It had duplicate page titles. It was a WordPress site. Google was going in and crawling things that it should have been crawling, like tags and page numbers and things like that, which we didn't want it to crawl. When fixed all that stuff up, and at the same time, we employed a content strategy. And this is what happens when you do that. Now, some people will say, well, what is a content strategy? Well, for me, at the end of the day, it's about building your brand. So how do you do that in the digital space? How do you increase that brand in the digital medium? In the olden days, back in the days when we had things like newspapers and stuff like that, you used to do brand advertising and be really groovy and do stuff that was just about your brand and associate your product with a certain type of person in an ad, those sorts of things. That was establishing your brand. Today's a bit different. Today it's about getting to the point where you're actually having and I hate these terms because they've been so overused. It's about getting connected with your customer, but actually having some verbal intercourse. I made that one up. The one I hate is engage, and also having a conversation. But essentially, that's what it's about. It's about getting out from behind the brand wall, what I call the brand wall, and actually starting to talk to people. And that's why I do this show, right? It's about our brand. It's about establishing and building the brand so that more people know who we are, know what we're about, and the sorts of things that we do. That's what the brand is. Over time, what you really want to happen is people to be Googling your brand. Because once that happens, guess what? You're not relying on AdWords anymore. You're not reliant on really even organic anymore, although it brings in a lot more, and people will still Google you. But if people are Googling your brand more so than they're Googling your major keyword, that is a really good thing. All right? The way that you get there with content is you can go and set up what we call landing pages. So pages on your website that are about certain things, about what you do. But typically, that's not going to help your brand. That's more about marketing content, if you like, or a brochure, or something similar to that. What people are used to these days is actually connecting with individuals within a company. I'm just making sure I've got both microphones on. Yes, I have. And to do that, you've got to actually do something like a blog, where people can say, I can see what that person's saying and I identify with that individual. I do a video blog because it's easier for me to shoot my mouth off than it is to actually write a blog post. And there's a few other people out there like that, and you'll find most of them on the Beers, Blokes and Business podcast. Not the Beers, Blogs and Business podcast, as Kurt thought it was talking about. Beers, Blokes and Business. So to establish that brand longer term, you've got to be doing things, you've got to be publishing content, and I think one of the best ways to do that is via a blog, and a lot of other people will tell you that as well. Now, you don't have to write it yourself, but you do have to write it in your voice. It does have to be written you have to look at that and say, yeah, I would write that and publish it. So you can get someone else to write it, but just make sure you'd be able to stand behind it. So, we here have a number of writers, and it's usually a bit of back and forth until we get the tone right, the voice right with the client, because most clients don't have time to write the content themselves. I wish they would. So in that situation, we say, look, these are the topics we want to talk about over the next 3 months. We need some feedback on those. Give us some thoughts about those, where you think we should head. And then we write a couple of posts. We send them to the client. The client looks at it and goes, that makes me sound gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's actually what we had recently with a client. And he said, it's okay being gay, but my wife would be kind of confused. So we had to go back and rewrite the content and go back and forth until we found the client's voice. And once we did that, then we could start publishing this stuff. So, but the content has to be something that people want to read. They want to interact with. They want to share. Think of it like this. If you used to have an old retail shop back in the day, you may have invited everyone down and said, come on, we're having a product demonstration. I want to show you how to use this new vacuum cleaner. It really sucks. And you get everyone down and you pick up a bowling ball or whatever it is and people go, wow, I need one of those. That's great. But they interacted with you. And that's a similar thing to what blogging is about. All right? So it's different in that once you publish that piece of content, it's going to keep on giving longer term. And once you do that, then you can go and start having a look at some really cool stuff. As your traffic grows, so this particular site, no, not that one, that's not the one I want. This particular site, when we started with it, it was getting about 10,000 unique visits per month. That was about just under 2 years ago, about 18 months ago actually. It's now getting about 50,000 unique visits a month, and that's because there's been an increase in about a 100% increase in organic, and then about the rest has come from direct traffic from different other sites, different directory sites, different shopping sites, those comparison shopping engines, and plus Google AdWords, which we're managing for them as well. Where we're about to take them is into Facebook, and that's going to be real fun. And I'm going to build a case study around these guys and bring it to you in about a month's time. But what you can do once you get some substantial traffic around your site, you can then go in and say, okay, you can do things like this. You can say, this little drop-down box here, and I'm in all channels here. And I'm saying, show me new users and show me returning users. And you can start to look for things that you can improve on. So those 1%ers. And what we're looking at here, we've got all these little graphs, right? This is just all visits, is your blue and your purple. And this is for, and I'm comparing February to March this year with January to February this year. And this is the orange and the yellow as new users, and the green, and it's kind of, I don't know, I'm colorblind. Don't ask me to do your design, I'm the wrong guy. To me, that's another purple. See, blokes, this is purple, and that's purple. Women, there's probably 3 different names for those 2 different colours. Anyway, to me, they're both purple. So, new users here, you can see here the visits have they haven't changed much for new users or returning users. You can see here the bounce rates, 38% for new users, 39%, slightly higher for returning users. Pages per visit's about the same. So this is critical information because we're seeing that new users and returning users to this site is about the same. But we can see here the transactions for the returning users, it's up 28%. But for new users, it's only up 8%. And we can see revenue here is up 24% for new users, but it's only up 24% for returning users. Now what that means is that there are, as you can see here, a hell of a lot more new users to this site because of the way the marketing's done and where they're coming from. They're coming from organic search, they're coming from AdWords, all these other places. Maybe you haven't been to the site before. And returning users, it's only about 9,000 of that. But look at this. So the conversion rate for new users is 0.38%, right? The conversion rate for returning users is nearly 3 times that. So, our job, and what I've said to the client is we need to look at these returning users because they're the biggest slice of our pie, and we need to get this e-commerce conversion rate up. If we can double that, that's another $20,000 a month on the bottom line, just by doubling it, by getting it to 2/3, if you like, of what your returning users number is. And there's a number of ways to do that. But that's what content's about. It's about building the brand. It's about getting people starting to Google you rather than your keywords, getting them there. And once you increase your traffic, just looking at these 1%ers of what you can do, once you drill down and have a look around, how you can start really making small steps to make massive impacts on your bottom line. And that's it for this week. Hopefully that was helpful. We'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Bye.